All my life has led to this moment. No challenge or obstacle has properly prepared me for what I am about to attempt. All the memes I've covered, the memes I've created, the philosophical and psychological character analyses that I've been doing, the One Punch Man videos, whether it's satire, analysis, or straight up discussing vague philosophical concepts in a gag anime. The moment has come. Whammon and gentlewomen, an analysis of Saitama being unable to destroy the Mosquito and the brilliant philosophy behind it. Yes, that may sound like a meme, especially coming from me. And to be fair, knowing the awesomeness of the fan base, thank you fan base, very cool in advance, I know you're gonna be torturing me in advance with the Garo sweats upwards. Literally nobody. Nux Taku. The brilliant philosophy behind all of it is far too powerful. Thank you. I know in advance it's gonna happen. I'm gonna bite that bullet. I'm giving you ammunition to torture me in the future. I hope you're happy. A philosophical analysis of Saitama versus the Mosquito, as well as versus Mosquito Whammon, whose themes are also integral to this episode. Episode 2 of the One Punch Man. I think everyone can agree that at least on the base level, One Punch Man, this guy who's able to destroy any being in one punch, being unable to defeat a mosquito, and it's annoying the hell out of him, is hilarious, okay? Gotta give credit where credit is due. One Punch Man is a top-tier comedy anime, and him being unable to defeat the Mosquito is top-tier comedy gold. Now, if you look a little deeper, I don't think it would be remiss to say that One Punch Man is not your typical overpowered character. Granted, in the setting he's in, and with the fights he's having, yes, he beats everyone in one punch. He's seemingly infinitely stronger than every opponent he's facing, and that's because, as I mentioned in my video discussing the power system in One Punch Man, which also really covered a philosophical outlook on the villains in episode 1, and this is actually covering episode 2. You know, it's almost hilarious. I'm going to be covering all the philosophical aspects of the whole series, and I'm so proud that someone's doing it.
Definitely subscribe.
But the way the power system seems to really genuinely work is when someone wants something with their whole heart to the point that it becomes their obsession, that begins to control them. They begin to morph into what their obsession has become. So, in regards to villains, like I've mentioned, Crab Guy was obsessed with eating crab, and he therefore became a crab monster. Now, the crab can represent his greed, as I've mentioned in that last video, link will be in the description, and therefore he is a human that completely succumbed to greed. He liked crab and became a crab monster, so too, someone obsessed with greed becomes a greed monster. It's a metaphorical manifestation of what his obsession is. Now, despite this fact, no one who has any obsession with anything winds up happy with where they've gone. And I will give you an example. One Punch Man! You ever heard of Saitama, you know, the main character? Aside from Moomin Rider, I'll talk about him in a future video. Absolutely one of the best characters ever. Can slap Goku, hands down, but more on him another day. Even though Saitama does not wear a tank top, he's still undeniably strong. Now, the reason why he's become so powerful is simply put due to the way the power system seems to genuinely be working, is he became obsessed with becoming the greatest, most powerful hero. Therefore, he did his 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, 100 push-ups, and blammo! He can one-punch the stratosphere and destroy half the solar system. This may be an exaggeration, but not a big one. Due to this obsession of becoming the most powerful hero, he ended up winding up falling into this massive depression because in his mind, when he was trying to become the most powerful hero, he had a wrong vision of what a hero was. In his mind, becoming a hero was power, and therefore it's that power that caused him to begin his suffering. Now, this is not a character analysis on Saitama. That will definitely be reserved for another day. I definitely intend to do it. It shall happen. I mean, only if I get at least 69 likes on this video. Smash that like button. One punch it. Destroy it. You know, all that jazz. But if you look at the feats where he is undeniably overpowered, they are all heroic-ish feats. When he's fighting a villain, he's overpowered. When he's training with Genos, he's overpowered. But if you look at some of the other things he's doing, he isn't necessarily completely overpowered. And a great example of this is defeating a mosquito. A mosquito coming to annoy you does not take a hero to defeat, and therefore, Saitama, due to his obsession of becoming a hero, becoming his metaphysical power, can do nothing to this mosquito. His envisionment of what a hero is, and him training to become that hero who has ultimate power, did not include menial tasks. He viewed the most powerful hero as someone who can defeat strong opponents. Now, I don't believe this is the explanation any of you wanted to hear. Saitama is revered as a god-tier fighter and an overpowered character. We don't want to place limitations on his might because that may place limitations on our perception of how badass he is and how epic this story is. But I think this makes him a far more human character. It helps you glance at someone who, despite this awesome power that he can use for the sake of heroing, or whatever his perception of heroism is, as I'm going to talk about in his character analysis, he's not all powerful, and therefore, there is a reason to living. He can get flustered. He can lose games of rock, paper, scissors when he was fighting Bang at the end of season 1. He can lose to King in video games, despite the fact that he can move his thumbs at light speed, as well as watch what King is gonna do on his controller and react to that by sending light speed brainwaves to his own finger to counterattack. But it doesn't matter, because playing video games isn't heroism, and that's why King, whose theme is entirely different, will completely annihilate him. There's one chapter in the manga, it's a bonus chapter that Animac actually showed me, where Saitama is sitting on the roof of a building, and there's this whole commotion, and he realizes it's because there's someone else on that roof that's planning to jump off and commit suicide. The whole mob on the bottom is trying to stop him. There's one hero yelling, "Please don't jump!" And every time the camera would turn to the hero would turn to the camera and smile, clearly showing that he's doing all this for PR as opposed to, really placing his heart in the game. And Saitama's just eating lunch. The guy's flustered. Saitama, Mr. Hero guy with this creepy rubber ducky-like suit, why are you eating lunch where I'm trying to commit suicide? And Saitama's like, listen man, just do it fast. Let me eat my lunch in peace. And he accidentally drops a piece of salmon off the roof. He runs down along the building, catches the salmon before it hits the ground, and jumps back up to continue sitting next to this guy that's about to jump off the roof and commit suicide. The guy's obviously flabbergasted by this, and after a little back and forth with Saitama, he realizes that Saitama's right. He should live a life and have fun, talk to the people he cares about, and keep pushing forward. But as he's about to step off the ledge, he slips and accidentally falls off the roof. Saitama obviously catches him, brings him up, he thanks Saitama, he leaves, he's on his merry way, off to live an entirely changed life due to this interesting interaction he's had with a hero wearing a rubber ducky-looking suit. And as Saitama walks down the stairs to leave, one panel shows that piece of salmon, which is his favorite part of his meal, was dropped on the floor, and he can no longer eat it. This is where his heroism completely overpowers his personal desires, where he could drop that piece of salmon, and I will be talking about this chapter again, and where that salmon could not be saved. Saitama is not all-powerful, and killing a mosquito is a menial task that all of us deal with, and all of us get annoyed with, because the mosquitoes never seem to die, no matter what you do. You can freaking blowtorch those bastards, but they're somehow immortal! And Saitama deals with that very issue the same exact way we do. But what's an even bigger contrast with how Saitama cannot seem to extinguish the life of this mosquito that's annoying the hell out of him is the theme of Mosquito Whammon in this very same episode. Originally, Mosquito Whammon is a villain that's fighting Genos. This is our introduction to Genos, and she is doing quite a good job beating him up. She's traveling around with this massive swarm of mosquitoes that's sucking the blood out of everyone and giving the blood to her since she's the queen and she becomes stronger, and she gives her typical bad guy speech of becoming epic and whatever, and she's a bitch. But basically, in the end of the day, after she accumulated enough blood from her entire massive mosquito mass, and she became far more powerful and entered her true form, as any good villain should be doing, 3/4 way through their episode, she feels no qualms in letting her massive swarm of mosquitoes die. Some of them she kills directly, some of them Genos kills, and it means nothing to her. All these people that were working for her and that she bonded with and that she promised a life where they can suck blood happily were all massacred now that she had no further use to them. Now, just like a mosquito sucks blood and is annoying and is a pest that you can't seem to be getting rid of, Mosquito Whammon literally is a bloodsucker. A bloodsucker is also a metaphorical term for someone not literally sucking blood, but someone that uses the people that they're around. Mosquito Whammon is a blood-sucking bitch, using the mosquito swarm that entrusted themselves to her for her greater good and her benefit, but then when she had no further use for them, she had no problem letting them all die. This is what a bloodsucker is, and obviously, in One Punch Man-esque finesse, the physical representation of the metaphor of her personality being the bloodsucker made her a mosquito monster that used the fellow mosquitoes to gather her blood so she can use them to their fullest and then have no problem letting them burn to a crisp. Once she fully embodied her own nature of being a bloodsucker, she was destroyed by Saitama instantaneously. Saitama, being back in his hero shoes fighting a villain, he gives her a bitch slap and she flies into a building, splattering it with blood, and flies away. Now, this is freaking beautiful. I can say, ha! Bitch got bitch slap, which is a beautiful metaphorical take on the art of slapping bitches. However, that is not the kind of humor or content that I promote on this channel. If you're gonna slap a bitch, you have to slap a male bitch. I don't know a word for male bitch, but they both deserve slap. If you're gonna drop kick men, just like you drop kick women, you must bitch slap men the same way you bitch slap women. So that is obviously not the deep metaphor that one is trying to promote here. It is kind of hella funny though. But one thing about bloodsuckers, and I'm talking IRL bloodsuckers, it's not a good way to lead your life. It's not exactly the method of choice of getting ahead of your competition. I can't imagine most teachers in school say, definitely make friends with rich people. Maybe you'll get them to give you money. Pretty sure that's not exactly the life lessons that we're trying to learn here. Because of a major flaw. Bloodsucking in general, or using the people you get close to for your own advantage, for the most part, is not only very bad and karma will bitch slap you into a building, karma being One Punch Man in this case, but in all honesty, you will come to regret it in the long run. It's true, granted, sometimes being a jerk is worthwhile, but if that's how life is led, it gives life a lot less meaning. Now, Mosquito Woman, despite the fact that she was using her swarm for her benefit, she ended up alone at the end of that little fight. It's true she had power, but she had no one to share it with. One Punch Man defeating her in an act of saving Genos. Not only did he bitch slap her, as opposed to punch her, because very often, if you look at real life, when you find out that someone's been cucking you for a while, you're not gonna get into a punching brawl. A bitch slap is something that is far more prevalent in today's beautiful society. When confronted with someone in a scenario where you find out they've been using you, a more common approach to actually beating the heck out of them or trying to get them arrested is just to give them a bitch slap to know that you don't like them and leave and never speak to them again. Maybe this is reaching. I don't want to necessarily be that reaching guy, but the more I look into One Punch Man, the more the stupid little actions that are comedic at first glance kind of seem to fit a lot better than if it would have been something else narratively as well. Not to mention the fact that the things that mosquitoes do, gather blood, they gave her blood, which represented the wealth or the clout or whatever she was leeching off, whoever she was leeching from in a real world. When he slapped her and she splatted against the building, the blood went everywhere and she continued flying, no longer having that thing that she was leeching off everyone else. If you look at most scenes in One Punch Man, that is not the case. When One Punch Man fought Boros, he annihilated it. When One Punch Man fought the Sea King guy, he blew a hole in his chest. But it's not like you visually saw this big splattering of blood in one place where the actual villain continued flying further. This literally robbed her of everything she was blood-sucking the swarm that she was using and then abusing. Just like in the long run, anyone that really tries to make a friendship with someone else just purely for some sort of gain, more often than not will end up losing it. And that is Saitama bitch slapping Mosquito Woman, showering the building with blood where she continued lying. But not only that, this is where Saitama meets Genos. This is exactly where the ultimate friendship of the anime begins, with the ultimate fake friendship being the Mosquito Woman and the mosquitoes coming to an awful close. One Punch Man shows up to save Genos just as a fellow man, not per se because he knew him or anything, and then Genos decided to make One Punch Man his sensei. Not for cruel and unusual reasons. Genos's big fat strategy for the entire series was he's gonna get stronger so he can defeat the cyborg that killed his family. He wanted Saitama to train him so he can reach that level himself. He's not trying to get Saitama to do his dirty work for him and destroy the cyborg that killed his family. He's not leeching off him purely. He's trying to offer him as much as he can in exchange. He's gonna cook for him. He's gonna care for him. And they genuinely do care for each other. Saitama actually cares for his fellow heroes as the series progresses. He's sad when he sees Genos beaten up by Sea King, far sadder than he was when he saw Genos beaten up by Carnage Kabuto, because he's actually growing closer to another person. And in the same vein, Genos does everything he can for Saitama, and when someone insults Saitama, Saitama kind of just stands there looking blankly at them because he doesn't give a crap about his pride at this point, but Genos gets furious, and that's the only real exhibition of emotion he shows throughout the entire series. There's this crazy powerful villain, dead face Genos. There are civilians being endangered, dead face Genos. Genos is being beaten to pulp by whatever villain he's fighting, tearing him to shreds, dead fish face Genos. But someone insults Saitama, and Genos is gonna be ready to kill them. Genos befriending Saitama in the same episode as Saitama defeating Mosquito Woman shows the perfect contrast about how Genos and Saitama care for one another. They have a mutual friendship that they both grow from, and it saves both of them. Genos becomes a much stronger, more caring individual, and Saitama manages to escape his depression, at least to an extent, throughout the series. And it's in contrast with the ultimate opposite to this, with Mosquito Woman purely using the swarm of mosquitoes for her own good, and she ends up getting destroyed because of this. This contrast is beautiful, and the fact that it all begins with Saitama unable to destroy a measly pest, something that Genos starts taking care of him in the future. Genos is his housekeeper, essentially. The one thing he can't do, being killing a mosquito, which is a non-heroing type thing, is what Genos actually does for him. He makes his food. He gets rid of his pests. He does whatever. This is a beautiful mutual friendship that sprouts. This is the ultimate way to introduce this mutual friendship. Not to mention the other contrast between the introduction of these bestest of bros. Saitama shows up as some random civilian-looking naked dude. Not exactly the pinnacle of respectable hero-ness. Genos immediately tells him, maybe you should leave. I'm trying to fight a mosquito woman over here. And it turns out Saitama is incredibly epically powerful. Now, obviously, anyone in this position would recognize Saitama for the boss that he is, but if you really think about it, Saitama coming across as some not particularly clever-looking naked guy. In other words, surface level, he seems like a nutcase. However, he one-slaps Mosquito Woman, and Genos immediately picks up on how epic he is on the inside, and therefore dismisses the strange exterior that he possesses. It's a friendship based on interiors. Saitama on the inside is awesome, so even though on the outside he's some naked, bald weirdo, Genos will look past that. Mosquito Woman only used this swarm of mosquitoes purely for their outward functions, for their ability to gather and harness blood so she can grow to the next level, and so she can then dismiss them, purely looking at the outwardness and not what is within. Saitama unable to kill the fly, a menial chore that Genos, once joining him, will take up, and Saitama bitch-slapping Mosquito Woman, annihilating her with her blood splurted all over the building that she flies into, is the ultimate introduction to the friendship of Saitama versus Genos. On my video on the hidden power system of One Punch Man, I covered the ongoings of episode 1, how every villain is essentially a metaphor for caving into obsession, and that becomes the reality of the situation. Again, link to that video will be in the description and at the end. And this is my take on episode 2. One Punch Man is one of my 5 favorite anime of all time. And I know this is gonna sound a bit preachy and whatever, and I'm supposed to be sarcastic, assholey Mimi, but this video is exactly why I love what I do so much. I feel like it's not a subject that would be breached by anyone else on AniTube as of right now. Not to say that my content is superior in any way, but I feel like I don't have a stick up my ass, and I'm hovering somewhere in between the ridiculous depths of sarcastic memery as well as making analytical, philosophical content. So I'm honored that I can try to shed a different light, perhaps, on this series that maybe you didn't notice before. Thank you all so much for sticking with me until this point. It means so much to me. I started working on my 500K special because I'm approaching that number, and it's honestly terrifying that so many of you decided to stick around, and it means the world to me. That said, Saitama fails to kill Mosquito. Literally nobody knocks Taku. But you don't understand the brilliant philosophy behind him attacking the mosquito. The mosquito represents life and friendship. So I hope you're happy. Ladies and gentlewomen, you now have a brand new, wonderful Nux meme format that you'll never make me forget. I'm happy I made this video regardless. Please don't use this meme format all too much because, it kind of hurts because it's sort of true. If you found this video even slightly interesting, please feel free to subscribe. I do intend to cover a lot more One Punch Man in depth, as well as the satire meme stuff that I love doing. Link in the description to my Twitter. Feel free to follow me there. Feel free to leave a like on this video, and also link in the description to my Patreon. All patrons are invited to the Discord server where we hang out, and I especially wanted to thank David and Ol, Negus Nogus, Burning Bush, Rise Warren, Sage of Snake, Team Sparky65, The Unknown Otaku, Girthy Worm Jim, Allison Stricker, The Wolf of Gar, JD Fincher, Q-Tippy, Laser, The Ethan, Ravy Landek, King Tank Games, Kevin McCline, Jordan, White Noise 32, Nasty Frank's Barbecue, Talon, Bestest Daddy Cross, Mitchell Garnett, Miriam Ramirez, Chezzy, Hamis the Great, Praise Lord the Gilgameshu, Billy Thompson, Serial Flex Offender, Sheenon, JJ Slaybrams, The Night Brights, LJ, Kaiser Wanar, Don Soko, Divine Reigns, Hexile, Teakui, Skyler Leg, Samuel Guzman, The Ninth Master, Karma, and TM Philly. I also wanted to thank Anthony Booth, Chubbs is the Man, Noctress 13, Matthew Yang, MD, Adria Pica, Souza Nerdified, Everest, and Esposito for being Lord Tweegers. Thanks to the God Usopp Rank, Dark Element, Eduardo Flores, Baby Ray, Poozerker, Muafak Necro, Sunny Parks, Maurice Luis Dreyfus, and Gintama for life. And thank you, Steve, for being the man, the myth, the legend. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it, despite the fact that it's literally, however long this video is gonna end up, I didn't do the audio edit yet length video on Saitama failing to kill a mosquito. Yes, I know, it's kind of beautiful, but it's also a little bit sad and kind of cringy when you think about it, but I like it. So, sorry fam, but remember to stay freaking weird.